Wanted to pass along some takeaways from being at the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis all week. First of all, what a great job by the entire Chat Sports team between press conferences, interviews, regular videos, YouTube shorts, and social medias. Our team of 6 guys produced about 500 videos. We were grinding in Indianapolis, and then we had a crew back at the Chat Sports studios in Dallas putting in that work as well. So really appreciate everybody for supporting everything that we do. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to go to events like this, and we certainly made a mark while we were there. A week like that requires a lot of early mornings, late days, long hours, long days, little sleep. As you can see, I'm kind of wearing it, although my sleep last night for about 9-10 hours moved mountains. But it's also rewarding. And to think about this, I was the 8th person hired by Chat Sports. I started March 1 of 2021, so just about 3 years ago. And we had 6 people at the NFL Combine, one of the largest footprints for any independent media company that was there in Indy. That's impressive. That's really awesome. And to hear from some other really talented people in the industry that they're taking notice of what we're doing, it's pretty humbling. As for Indianapolis, and this is the second or third time that I've been there, I think is a very, very underrated city. Clean. You can walk everywhere. It's a perfect size for an event like this, and it's perfect for hosting events like this. You have a basketball arena and a football stadium right downtown, a bunch of great spots for food, easy to get around, it's centrally located, and I don't think that the NFL Combine should go anywhere. I think it should continue to be here every single year. There's been some chatter that NFL owners want to move it to different locations. I think Indianapolis is just the perfect host city for the NFL Scouting Combine. To the Niners. Let's talk some San Francisco football here. I heard all week that if the Niners hired somebody internally to take over for Steve Wilks as defensive coordinator, it was going to be Nick Sorensen, and that's what happened. He was the only coach on the defensive side of the football who had coordinator experience. His ties in working with Pete Carroll, given that San Francisco runs a lot of elements of that scheme, were important within this. And he's respected by the organization, the coaching staff, and the players. And a couple of videos surfaced of the energy that he's going to bring to the table, how he interacts with players. And you can see kind of why San Francisco went in this direction. Now, Kyle Shanahan reportedly reached out to Bill Belichick, and the 49ers checked in on Steve Spagnuolo after the Super Bowl because his contract was up with Kansas City. So they looked elsewhere first, and then they reverted going back to an internal hire. And Kyle Shanahan, to his credit, has a really good history with some of these internal hires. Robert Saleh and D'Amico Ryans worked out really, really well. And we'll see if Nick Sorensen can do the same. Continuity with the defense, familiarity with the roster and the defense. And San Francisco, as John Lynch said on Tuesday when he met with the media, they're going to continue to do what they've done at a very, very high level over the last several years and continue to run the defensive style that they've been running. Now, I think a lot of people are overreacting about the Brandon Staley hire. It's an assistant head coach hiring. Relax. And this guy is looked at as a really smart, innovative, creative football mind. Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay have a track record of hiring and developing coaches. And if they look at Brandon Staley as a guy who is a valuable member of their respective staffs, I trust that Brandon Staley is going to bring good ideas to the table. And a lot of the fans were saying, Nick Sorensen, the hiring of him, he's just another yes man for Kyle Shanahan. Brandon Staley is not going to be a yes man for Kyle Shanahan, and if anything, he's going to bring creative concepts, hopefully, to the Niners defense. On the Brandon Aiyuk front, as I reported earlier this week, Aiyuk's agent is the best friend of John Lynch. John Lynch was the best man at Aiyuk's agent's wedding, and the 49ers want to do everything that they can to lock Brandon Aiyuk up long term. They envision and want him to be a part of the San Francisco 49ers for a really long time. John Lynch earlier this week, again, in speaking with the media, pointed to the Niners' track record of how they've handled business with some of the homegrown players on this roster. And there's a track record of that. Them taking care of their own guys who they draft, develop, and invest in. George Kittle, Fred Warner, Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa, all received record-breaking contracts. I don't think that Brandon Aiyuk is going to get a record-breaking contract, but I think he's going to receive a deal from San Francisco, as I reported earlier this week, and the Niners have no plans of trading him. Also, Ian Rappaport just reported from Indianapolis that the 49ers are going to try to get a deal done after NFL free agency, and the exact phrasing from Rappaport was he firmly believes that Aiyuk is going to be a part of the Niners' future plans. As for the offensive line for the Niners, it's a great year for San Francisco to invest in the trenches on the offensive side of the football. This is looked at by scouts, by general managers, as a historic offensive line class, especially at the tackle spots. There are a bevy, a handful of really, really quality right tackles, left tackles, and interior offensive linemen that are a part of this draft class. Guys are running sub-5 40-yard dashes. I'm watching that right now. Some offensive linemen are just over a 5-second 40-yard dash. They're strong, they're mobile, they're nasty, they're talented. A lot of them are really good scheme fits for what Kyle Shanahan likes to do with a lot of outside zone. Bad offensive line play has held the Niners back the last 2 years in the playoffs. They've gotten exposed against Philadelphia and against Kansas City. They're not going to win a Super Bowl until they take offensive line seriously. And this is a great offseason and a great draft class for the Niners to address offensive line for next year, 2024, as well as in the future. And you can't miss on an offensive lineman when there are so many quality ones in this draft. The Niners specifically, as I reported this week and talked to a lot of the offensive linemen yesterday, Saturday in Indianapolis, the Niners have met with a lot of offensive tackles specifically. And then lastly, to the wide receiver position. Niners meeting with a lot of wide receivers too. This is a deep wide receiver class. We're talking rounds 1, 2, and 3, where I think there are plug-and-play starting wide receivers who can end up being Pro Bowl level types. Niners met with a lot of them, including some projected first-round picks. I would not be surprised, because it's a deep tackle class, if the Niners went wide receiver in round 1, or if they go offensive line or defensive line in round 1, there's still going to be some really good wide receivers available in round 2 and in round 3. What this also tells me that if the Niners are doing their due diligence on wide receivers, and a lot of them ran fast, have size, are physical, big bodies, there are also burners in this class like Xavier Worthy, who ran a 4.21 40-yard dash officially, fastest in the history of the NFL Combine. Guess what? Niners met with him, and he said it would be awesome to play alongside Deebo Samuel and Brandon Aiyuk, and he's familiar with Kyle Shanahan because Shanahan played wide receiver at Texas, has a relationship with head coach Steve Sarkisian, and is in the building a lot. And what this tells me about the current wide receivers on this team, Brandon Aiyuk, Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, the Niners have some flexibility here. You can just draft another wide receiver because they could be BPA, best player available, and you have that player as part of your offensive plans. Danny Gray, we'll see ya. And you could have 4 wide receivers, Aiyuk, Deebo, Jennings, and that rookie. If Aiyuk becomes too expensive, if you do want to trade him, and I don't think that's going to happen as I've reported, but if you do want to trade him because he's asking for just outrageous money, now is the year to find his replacement, trade him for some really good draft capital, and then you draft a wide receiver and you have that really talented rookie with Deebo and Jennings. If you want to keep Aiyuk, Deebo, Jennings, and then you want to trade Deebo Samuel next offseason, I took a look at some of the salary cap numbers post-June 1 in 2025. If you let go of Deebo Samuel via cut in this instance, $6.5 million in dead cap, $17.5 million in cap savings. Or if Jawan Jennings becomes too expensive, you have Aiyuk, Debo, and that rookie. So a lot of different flexible options for San Francisco following this week at the NFL Scouting Combine. Going to be really, really interesting to see what exactly they do. If you want Niners talk every single day, you know the deal by now. Give me a follow and subscribe. Appreciate everybody for watching. And this next week is going to be a busy one. And then the week after that is going to be loaded too. Why? Free agency beginning, as the NFL has really mastered almost a 12-month calendar at this point.